Saudi Arabia, a name that evokes images of vast deserts, towering skyscrapers, and long-standing traditions. But beneath this glamorous facade lies a complex social landscape, especially for women. Have you ever heard about the stringent, even peculiar, regulations that Saudi Arabian women must follow? The bans on driving, traveling alone, or even choosing their attire. These have become familiar symbols associated with the country. But behind the black abayas and tightly wrapped headscarves, is there truly just resignation and obedience? Are you curious about what daily life is really like for Saudi women? How do they navigate social barriers? And what are the secrets they always try to keep hidden? If so, don't miss this video. In the following minutes, we will explore 15 harsh laws about Arab women that they don't want you to know. Let's uncover the surprising pages of a unique and colorful culture. Are you ready to explore a completely different world? Number 15. Being raped is illegal. Saudi Arabia, a wealthy country with its skyscrapers and glossy supercars, yet behind this splendor is a bleak reality regarding women's rights. It's hard to believe that in such a modern country, women are treated as second-class citizens and are even blamed when they become victims. Imagine a young woman who, after being raped, not only suffers physical and emotional pain but also faces legal punishment. This cruel reality is happening in Saudi Arabia. Here, victims of rape may be charged for not having a male guardian with them, while the perpetrator might escape punishment. This injustice stems from a severely gender-discriminatory legal system where women are bound by harsh regulations on travel, work, and even opening a bank account. They must seek permission from their husband or male guardian for most life decisions, from traveling to seeking medical care. Discrimination is not only present within the family but extends into public spaces. Women face restricted freedoms, are barred from certain public places, and even denied service in shops. Why does this happen? The answer lies in traditional and conservative religious beliefs, where women are viewed as weak, needing protection, and lacking autonomy. However, due to pressure from the international community and women's rights activists, some small changes have started to emerge. The Saudi government is considering lifting some restrictions on women. But will these changes be enough to end centuries of injustice? The story of women's rights in Saudi Arabia is a wake-up call about gender inequality. It shows that even in a modern world, women still face numerous difficulties and challenges. We need to come together to speak out to protect the rights of those treated unfairly. Number 14. Men are free to commit adultery. While women are surrounded by countless prohibitive laws, Saudi men can even comfortably commit adultery and remain protected. I believe this will make you more upset with the laws of this country, but it's entirely true, and Arab women have to accept it. Known as misyar, non-binding marriages have long been legally recognized in Saudi Arabia, where the wife loses some benefits compared to traditional marriage, such as cohabitation and financial support. Misyar can be seen as a suspended state between being married and single, allowing polygamous husbands not to bear the burden of maintaining a second family. Despite the risk of abuse, this secret arrangement still attracts some women who do not want to accept patriarchal customs in traditional marriage. Some couples also use this form to conceal extramarital relationships, which are strictly forbidden in Islam. Misyar provides convenience, freedom, and a relationship permitted in Islam, said a 40-year-old Saudi official, admitting to having such a relationship with a widow over 30 for more than 2 years. He mentioned having 3 children from a traditional marriage and can visit his misyar wife at her home in Riyadh any time. However, he did not clarify what benefits his wife gains from their relationship. Many Saudis and expatriates working there often turn to dating or marriage websites to seek such relationships. Misyar is cheaper, requires no dowry, and is not binding, said a 40-year-old pharmacist in Riyadh. Such marriages do not last long. Most end in divorce after 14 to 60 days, according to sources from the Saudi Ministry of Justice. Misyar marriages also provide an escape for some older women who do not want to be alone, or a new start for divorced or widowed women facing difficulties in remarrying. But due to the lack of clear commitment, children born from these relationships face many disadvantages. Misyar marriages are popular among men who do not want to fully shoulder the responsibilities of polygamous marriages, which are allowed in Islam if wives are treated fairly. Saudi media has raised growing concerns about children fathered by Saudi men, but not recognized by them. Some women are forced to sue because Saudi men refuse to acknowledge children born from misyar marriages. Meanwhile, many women often have to turn a blind eye to their husbands having additional misyar marriages. Number 13. Phones monitored by male guardians. The smartphone, which should be a tool for connecting people, instead becomes a cage restricting the freedom of Arab women. Every tap, every message, and even every glance at the screen is closely monitored. It is no longer a private space, but a bare stage where every action and thought is exposed under the scrutinizing gaze of a man. Phone monitoring is not only a blatant invasion of privacy, but also a form of psychological abuse. It forces women to live under the constant fear of being watched and controlled. They cannot freely express themselves or build social relationships normally. Every step and every word must be cautious, as behind the phone is a pair of eyes always ready to judge. Moreover, phone surveillance is a tool to reinforce gender inequality. It turns women into children who always need the oversight and control of men. This not only harms women's self-esteem, but also stifles their development. Women's opportunities are limited, their autonomy is stripped away, and ultimately they become faint shadows in their own lives. The story of monitored phones is a warning about a sick society where power and control are prioritized above all else. It is also a call for change, to build a fair society where everyone is respected and equal. We need to reform the laws, raise public awareness about gender equality, and create a safe environment that respects everyone's privacy. Number 12. Arranged marriages. While modern love celebrates the freedom of choice, in another part of the world, marriage remains an implicit sentence handed down by parents. For many Arab girls, marriage is not the result of a journey to find happiness, but a mandatory right, an arrangement they have no right to refuse. The image of young brides in elaborate wedding dresses with forced smiles hides countless stories behind them. They become puppets in a family drama, their lives dictated by arranged marriages. Under the guise of tradition and family protection, their personal freedoms are restricted, and their dreams and ambitions are buried. Why do arranged marriages persist strongly in modern society? This is a question for those concerned with gender equality. Are traditional and religious reasons heavy enough to suppress an individual's quest for happiness? Or are there other benefits behind these practices that we have not fully explored? The smartphone, which should be a tool for connecting people, instead becomes a cage restricting the freedom of Arab women. Every tap, every message, and even every glance at the screen is closely monitored. It is no longer a private space, but a bare stage where every action and thought is exposed under the scrutinizing gaze of a man. The story of arranged marriages in the Arab world is not only a social issue, but also a lesson about love, freedom, and the desire to live authentically. Can Arab society overcome traditional barriers to move towards a brighter future? Number 11. Crazy divorce laws. In modern society, motherhood is a sacred bond. But in Saudi Arabia, this bond can be easily severed by a divorce paper. According to current laws, after divorce, a mother only has custody of her children until they are 7 years old for boys and 9 years old for girls. This rule, seemingly unreasonable and harsh, has stripped countless women of their maternal rights, leaving deep emotional scars. The image of innocent children suddenly separated from their mother's loving embrace, left to wander in a strange world, is difficult to imagine. This abrupt separation not only causes severe psychological trauma to the children, but also presents numerous challenges for the mother. They face economic and social pressures and the prejudices of the community. How can a child grow up healthy and happy without the love of their mother? Does giving custody to the father or a male guardian after divorce truly ensure the best interests of the child? Many questions arise, but the answers remain unclear. However, a glimmer of hope appears as Saudi Arabian laws begin to show positive changes. Allowing women to initiate divorce is a significant step, opening the door to fair negotiations about custody. But this is just the beginning. There is still much work to be done to protect the rights of women and children after divorce. The story of single mothers in Saudi Arabia is not just a legal issue, but also a story about love, justice, and the right to be a mother. Can Saudi society overcome traditional barriers to build a better future for women and children? Number 10. Obligation to breastfeed. Breast milk, a loving gift from nature, is a precious commodity for every child. But in the Arab world, breastfeeding becomes a heavy burden on women. According to tradition and religious beliefs, breastfeeding is considered a sacred duty, the only way to ensure the health and comprehensive development of the child. However, behind these noble words lies a harsh reality. Arab women are forced to breastfeed regardless of their health, mental state, or other difficulties they may face. Failure to comply results in stigma, condemnation from family and society, and even severe penalties. The image of young mothers, exhausted but striving to continue breastfeeding despite their physical exhaustion, is heart-wrenching. The psychological and physical pressure on them makes them feel isolated and desperate. Forcing women to breastfeed not only violates their right to self-determination but also leads to serious consequences. Many mothers experience postpartum depression, strained marital relationships, and even adverse effects on both their and their child's health. Yet Arab women refuse to submit. They have risen up to demand the right to choose how they nurture their children. These small voices are gradually coming together into a powerful wave, challenging outdated beliefs. Feminist movements have emerged, protests are organized, and social media has become a platform for sharing stories and pain. This struggle is not only for the rights of Arab women, but also for the future of their children. A happy mother is the key to raising well-adjusted children. The story of Arab mothers is a tale of the strength of maternal love, the resilience of individuals against social pressures. It is also a reminder of the importance of respecting each person's freedom to choose. Number 9. Dress code regulations. The image of Arab women in black, full-body abayas, revealing only their deep-set eyes, has become familiar through films and photographs, yet behind this black fabric lies a world of emotions and thoughts that is not always fully understood. Why do Arab women have to cover their bodies so completely? The answer lies deeply rooted in the culture and beliefs of the country. The abaya, a long black cloak, is not merely a piece of clothing but a symbol of modesty, respect, and Islamic cultural identity. However, under the scorching desert sun, wearing an abaya all day is indeed a significant challenge. Do these women feel stifled and oppressed, or have they become so accustomed to it that they see it as an indispensable part of their lives? In recent years, the wave of modernization has gradually seeped into Saudi Arabia, bringing certain changes to women's attire. The abaya remains, but its colors and styles have become more diverse. Face covering is no longer a mandatory requirement. This indicates that Saudi society is becoming more open to new values while still respecting traditions. The question arises, does changing the dress code equate to a change in mindset? Arab women may have more freedom in choosing their attire, but are they truly free to express themselves? The dress code regulations in Saudi Arabia are a complex issue, intertwined between tradition and modernity, between religion and society. To gain a clearer understanding of this issue, we need to listen more to the voices of Arab women who live under these regulations. Number 8. The driving ban. The automobile, a symbol of freedom and independence, was once a distant dream for Arab women. For decades, the ban on women driving acted like an invisible shackle, confining them to a limited space. The image of Arab women confidently driving their own cars was once unthinkable. But one day the barrier between men and women fell. The decision by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to allow women to drive marked a new chapter in Saudi Arabian history, representing a significant milestone in the struggle for gender equality. Prior to this, the driving ban had faced strong opposition from the international community and feminist activists. They relentlessly fought, using every means to demand equal rights. Ultimately, their efforts were rewarded. The freedom to drive is not just a privilege but a symbol of progress and modernization. It opens new opportunities for Arab women, helping them to participate more actively in social life. However, the road ahead is still fraught with challenges. Although women are now allowed to drive, they continue to face many other barriers, such as societal prejudices, workplace discrimination, and restrictions on property ownership. The story of the struggle for women's driving rights in the Arab world is a lesson in perseverance, the power of solidarity, and the importance of gender equality. It shows us that even in the face of mounting difficulties, people can create positive change. Number 7. Restrictions in work and education. Behind the traditional attire and strict religious rituals in Saudi Arabia lies a less rosy picture of women's status. Besides personal freedom restrictions, women in this country also face significant barriers in accessing education and employment. Despite a relatively high rate of university-educated Arab women, the quality of education they receive is uneven. Women's universities often have limited resources, facilities, and programs. Furthermore, the fields of study women are encouraged to pursue are typically traditional ones, like education or social sciences, which restrict career development opportunities. Even with qualifications, Arab women face numerous challenges in finding employment. They often need permission from a guardian to work, and their job opportunities are frequently limited to certain fields. Exposure to diverse work environments and opportunities for advancement are luxuries for many women. Economic dependence on men leaves Arab women voiceless in their families and society. They struggle to make important decisions for themselves and their families. This not only affects their personal lives but also limits the development of society as a whole. The issue of women being restricted in work and education is not unique to Saudi Arabia, but is a global issue. It raises questions about gender equality, freedom, and the sustainable development of a nation. The story of Arab women is a reminder that the path to gender equality is long and fraught with challenges. However, with persistence and continuous effort, we can create positive changes. Number 6. Inheritance rights. In the ancient homes of the Arab world, behind the intricately patterned walls are stories of unfair inheritance rights. For a long time, Arab women have been marginalized in the division of family assets. This regulation, seen as an essential part of Sharia law, has created an invisible wall separating men from women. According to Sharia law, a son typically inherits twice as much as a daughter. This means that even if a woman works hard and contributes to the family just as much as a man, she will still receive only a small portion of the inheritance. In some cases, women are completely deprived of inheritance rights. These unjust regulations have serious repercussions. Arab women become economically dependent on men, making them vulnerable in cases of divorce or widowhood. They lack decision-making power over their assets, indirectly affecting their status within their families and society. However, in recent years, a wave of change has been spreading. Many Arab countries have begun to reconsider gender inequality in inheritance and implement legal reforms. Tunisia is a notable example, having enacted laws that allow women to inherit equally with men. The story of Arab women's inheritance rights is not just a legal issue, but also a story about equality, justice, and social development. Changing the laws is a crucial step, but to eliminate inequality completely, there needs to be a profound shift in societal attitudes. Number 5. Lack of religious freedom. Within the ancient walls of Islamic countries lie countless stories of belief and choice, yet for women, this narrative takes on a different hue, filled with limitations and pressures. In Saudi Arabia and many other Islamic countries, choosing a religion is not a freedom but a privilege reserved for men. Women from birth are assigned a belief, and escaping from this framework is nearly impossible. Imagine being forced to believe in something you don't truly believe in, where expressing differing views can lead to unforeseeable consequences. This is the reality many Arab women face. Laws and societal norms create an invisible wall that prevents women from freely choosing their beliefs. Converting religions is not only condemned but can also lead to severe penalties. This causes women to feel trapped, isolated, and voiceless. The consequences of restricting religious freedom are significant. It affects not only women's spiritual lives but also creates rifts in families and society. Many women live in the torment of adhering to tradition while pursuing their true beliefs. The story of religious freedom for Arab women serves as a reminder of the importance of personal freedom. Every individual has the right to choose their own beliefs, and limiting this right is a serious violation of human rights. Number 3. Ban on viewing husband's phone. In a society where power is skewed towards men, the phone is not just a communication tool but also a weapon of control. In Saudi Arabia and many other Arab countries, women viewing their husband's phone, regardless of the reason, is considered a serious crime. A casual touch on a husband's phone or a curious glance at unread messages can lead to unforeseeable consequences. Women may be accused of invading privacy, fined, or even expelled from the country. Sadly, the laws in many Arab countries seem to protect only men's interests. While women are harshly punished for actions deemed violations, men can infringe on their wives' privacy without repercussions. The story of a woman in the UAE being fined $41,000 and expelled for viewing her husband's phone is a prime example. Her actions might have stemmed from suspicion or curiosity, but the outcome was harsh. Restricting women's access to their husband's personal information is not just a legal issue but also a manifestation of deep gender inequality. It shows that women are still viewed as property rather than respected as independent individuals. This story is not an isolated case, but a collective voice of millions of Arab women. They long to live in a just society where everyone's rights are protected. Number 2. Ban on using public transportation. The bus, a symbol of freedom to move and explore the world, becomes a luxury for women in Saudi Arabia. While men can freely board buses and subways, women are restricted to separate spaces or even denied transportation altogether. This makes their travel a daily struggle, a humiliation of personal freedom. Discrimination in public transportation is not just a matter of convenience, but a clear expression of gender inequality. It sends a message that women do not deserve the same basic rights as men. The image of buses designated only for men and train cars reserved for women has become a blemish on Saudi Arabia's social landscape. Even high-status women, like princesses, are not exempt from this discrimination. Despite their crowns and prestige, they are still bound by strict social norms. This shows that gender inequality affects not only ordinary women, but also permeates all social classes. Restricting women's mobility impacts their daily lives and hinders societal development. Women are deprived of opportunities to work, study, and participate in social activities. This not only disadvantages them, but also diminishes the potential development of the entire nation. The story of women being barred from public transportation is a reminder of the persistent social injustices. It also calls for change to build an equal society where everyone is treated fairly and has the opportunity to develop themselves. Number 1. Ban on women exercising. Beneath the traditional black cloak lies a silent battle against obesity. Saudi women, constrained by stringent rules, have limited opportunities to exercise. The image of overweight women has become all too familiar, but the underlying causes are less often addressed. It is not just a matter of eating habits, but also a restriction on freedom and opportunity. The ban on women exercising is not only a health issue, but also a manifestation of gender inequality. It conveys the message that women do not need to be healthy or free. The sight of women being barred from stepping outside to exercise, threatened by religious police, has become a stain on Saudi Arabia's social picture. Behind these bans are outdated views on women's roles. Many believe that women exercising will lead to the loss of chastity or moral decay. These views are reinforced by books and sermons from religious leaders who have a significant influence on society. Restricting the right to exercise affects not only physical health, but also women's mental well-being. It makes them feel constrained, suppressed, and deprived of opportunities for personal development. This not only harms individuals, but also decreases the quality of life for the entire community. The story of Saudi women being prohibited from exercising is a reminder of social injustices. It also calls for change to build an equal society where everyone has the right to live healthily and happily. The 15 newly revealed secrets paint a multifaceted picture of life for Saudi women, don't they? From strict rules to aspirations for freedom, from tradition to modernity, all blend to create a colorful narrative. But this is just a small part of the overall picture. There are still many interesting things waiting for us to explore. Will Arab women overcome these barriers to achieve equality? What will their future look like? Stay tuned for the next videos to find the answers. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support my channel.